There is no hood like parenthood. Hi, I'm Kanika Chadda Gupta. I'm a former CNN journalist, mom of 3, including twins, and host of That's Total Mom Sense, the podcast. Now, if I had a dollar every time I heard, gee, you have your hands full. On my show, I interview change makers on their life lessons, legacy, and superpower of intuition, which I call our mom sense and dad sense. I've had the privilege of working with Mom 2.0, March of Dimes, and the White House, and have had some pretty amazing parents on my show.
Hey, what's up? I'm Kelly Rowland.
Hi, this is Chelsea Clinton.
It's me, Bobby Brown. Can't wait to share my story.
That's Total Mom Sense is a production of the Evergreen Podcast Network. Be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and on YouTube so you never miss an episode. To join my tribe, visit that'stotalmomsense.com and follow me on Instagram at Kanika Chadda Gupta. Now let's dive into today's episode. You're tuning in to That's Total Mom Sense, the podcast for parents and caregivers where we can exchange stories to learn from one another and build a collective legacy. I'm your host, Kanika Chadda Gupta, television journalist, podcast host, and mom of 3, including twins. I grew up in a Punjabi home where we loved our Rajma Chawal and spoke Hindi fluently. I learned to read and write it, and I trained in Kuchipudi Indian classical dance and Hindustani vocal music. And I am so proud that I get to pass on these traditions to my 3 kids. This AAPI month, I am proud to partner with Lexus to bring you AAPI Voices, where we'll be profiling 3 powerhouse South Asian women on how they're redefining culture and building community. From fashion to food to wellness, these women are bringing their full selves to the table. Heritage in one hand and hustle in the other, all while navigating motherhood in the modern day. So buckle up because we're taking you on a special ride. You're listening to That's Total Mom Sense, the podcast that helps you lean into your intuition as a parent. I'm your host, Kanika Chadda Gupta. This AAPI month, we are celebrating women who beautifully blend heritage, heart, and hustle in style. Today's guest is the radiant Megha Rao, who is a culture creator, fashion founder, and the visionary behind HoliChic, as well as a proud mom of 2. Her label is redefining Desi fashion for the modern world, whether it's a sari with a streetwear twist or empowering South Asian women to take up space. Megha's work is bold and oh so beautiful. Megha, welcome to That's Total Mom Sense.
Thank you. We're finally here.
I know. We have arrived and we have been conceptualizing this for quite some time.
Yes.
So I'm glad it's happening.
Years,
in this
actually.
way.
Yeah.
Yes, this is the perfect collab. And you are a thought leader in the AAPI space.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us how it all started for you.
I mean, we were talking about this briefly before, but growing up here, I've always experienced fashion when I would go to India. For me, that's what Indian fashion was. It was like you have to go back to India to understand what's in trend. And personally, I didn't think that that was the only solution. I felt that there's so many women like myself who are we have dual identities, we're children of immigrants. And I always wondered why it was so difficult to find fashion that resonated with me. And going back to India over and over again, more and more, I would just think of different ways to start blending and incorporating that Indian traditional style with things that I would wear back home. And that was really the very first thought process behind HoliChic.
I love it. And you are an OG. You really have taken Indo-Western to the next level and were the pioneer in this whole movement. What was it like when you were a kid, when you maybe tried on lehengas, bindis, all that from your mom's closet?
I mean, it's nostalgic. And I think even to this day, so much of that experience plays into what I do as a designer, because everything I make has a story and there's an identity behind it. It's not that I'm just making clothes because I enjoy it. I'm making clothes because it's been part of my life since then, since I was playing with my mom's saris, since she would dress me up. My mom herself was very into fashion. She used to tell me she would go to college and wear saris every day. And I'm like, can you imagine? Like, I wish I could do
With
that.
your palu, like.
Yes, like wear your bindi and your jhumkas and go to school. Like that's to me the coolest thing ever. But she herself was very into fashion. And so I had a beautiful closet of her clothes. I had my denim and my leather and like all the cool like New York things. And I had, you know, I had the luxury of being able to mix and blend those two different closets when I was growing up.
That's awesome. And what about when you decided to work in corporate and then pivot? So like, tell us about that whole trajectory.
Yeah, you know, when I was in school and college, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And finance and corporate finance kind of just fell into my lap. There was an opportunity, and it was an amazing training program where you got to learn the ins and outs of business, between everything, finance, marketing, sales. And I said, because I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do at that time, I'm like, this is a great opportunity for me to learn skill. Whether I stay in banking, I don't stay in banking, I will learn what is important in running a business. And those skills you can transfer anywhere. So I ended up starting there right out of college and stayed with them for 15 years because I just loved what I ended up doing. I learned so much. I had the best team, the best managers. And I had the opportunity, like I said, to learn so much that eventually ended up helping me with HoliChic.
That is incredible. And I mean, you were burning the midnight oil.
Yeah.
And doing the fashion stuff on the side.
Mm-hmm.
So for the listeners who have a side hustle, like, how'd you make that kind of happen?
Yeah, so, you know, HoliChic actually started a few months after my son was born. So that maternity time that I had at home, like most people will find like, okay, this is like my relaxation time, which definitely it was. But a lot of the times, as you know, when you have a newborn, they spend most of their time sleeping.
Yes.
And when you're somebody who just constantly needs something to do, which that is my personality, I cannot sit still, that's when the wheels started turning for me. And I was like, well, I have this extra time now, and my son's sleeping like half the day.
Right.
And I just started, you know, experimenting, and I started like mixing fabrics and taking them to local tailors and testing with India. And that's really when HoliChic was born, was during this phase that I was at home on maternity leave.
Wow. So HoliChic is your middle child.
Yes, exactly. It is my middle child. Yes.
I love it. And I completely relate to that because same thing. So after I had the twins, we had them on such a strict schedule. So they like napped at the same time, like
How
diaper
did you
change
do
at the
that?
same time. You know, we were really vigilant about it. My baby nurse really helped me.
Oh, that's great.
And you know, if their feeding is the same time, then everything
It all trickles.
falls in
Yes,
place.
yes.
Yeah. And so I'm so with you. During the downtime, you know, I had a digital marketing firm, but I just didn't feel as fulfilled. And I think motherhood makes you feel like I have to live my purpose because I'm modeling that for two human beings now.
Yes, it just awakens something within you, and I think that's exactly it. Like you're setting an example. You've been through one of the most incredible experiences of your life, and it almost makes you feel like you're unstoppable and you can do anything.
Yes.
And I think that's part of it. And I think so many women start their businesses after having children for that reason.
Absolutely. Yeah, and in my case, I was listening to podcasts all the time. And coming from television and broadcast media, I was like, I could totally do this.
Yeah.
And the fact that I can go do my shoots at someone's home
Yes.
on my timeline between drop off and pickup, and then build a whole brand around it and curate a whole content strategy around it that like the audience is like, that's for me, was amazing. It makes you feel so empowered because you're taking your idea and presenting it to the world. And when they're like, we love this, we want more, you just feel so validated.
Oh, 100%. Yes. I agree with that.
Great. I want to backtrack a bit.
Yeah.
Tell us how you and Ajay met.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Don't laugh, but we didn't really have like dating apps back at that. I know it's like a very big thing right now, but we met on Facebook. Like,
oh my
believe it or not.
That's awesome.
It was interesting because it was like a, you know, when you have like a mutual friend and mutual connection. So yeah, it was Facebook. And from that point, like we started having conversations and ended up having mutual friends. And we started meeting at these different events. You know, in the city, you kind of all like meet each other once you have like one, it's the same network.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was pre-HoliChic, all of that, and he's been one of the most critical people in my life in terms of support when it comes to HoliChic and really anything that I want to pursue.
Yes. I mean, I think it's so important to have a supportive partner because they're just the anchors that you need to be like, this is for real, like I can do this, right? And they're like, yes, you've got this.
Exactly.
It's so great. And how have you scaled the business over time? Because it's been a decade.
Yeah,
it's been a decade, guys.
I know. When I hear that, I'm just like, my goodness. Yeah, it has been a decade. But what I will say is that, you know, the first 4 to 5 years of it, I was in corporate. So I was, it was a long time, right? Most people are like, oh, you juggled for that. Yes. So I would work this corporate career, 9 to 5, come home, be a mom. As soon as they went to bed, I was talking to India. I was designing my collections, and I had like little windows of time and pockets of time when I could do that. Holidays, weekends, like for me, I wouldn't take that time and go out and party. I would take that time and build a brand, right? And so really the first 4 to 5 years, I would call it a passion project. And for us, like the real scaling and the real pivot actually happened post-pandemic, because at that time we were all forced to do things a little bit differently, right? We were pushed out of our comfort zones. I was making clothes that were for occasions. They were for weddings, they were for parties. It was like all this heavy, fancy stuff. And overnight, those events stopped.
Yes.
Right?
Okay. So now you're like Pret, ready to wear.
Exactly. So that's where like our first big pivot happened, where I was like, well, what do women need now? They want loungewear. They needed face masks. Remember, we were all like, we forget this era, but we were all wearing these masks.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And we had tons and tons of fabric building up in our factories. So I said, well, I don't need dresses, so let's convert them into these masks and bags and whatever we can do. And surprisingly, that took off. And you know, people were at home, they were shopping, they were looking for very specific things, and we were able to fill that void. So yeah, the business in, 2020 is when everything really started taking off. I ended up leaving my corporate career during COVID, which was one of the hardest decisions I ever had to make. You know, when you're a mother and you have a home and you have children, there's so much responsibility, like financially. So that decision was very, very tough. But from that point, we scaled the business. We started experimenting with leggings and all different things, and really the business took off from that point.
That's great. I love that. And I remember in the Slashy Summit, shout out to Brown Girls, Trisha Sakuja, who organizes this, when you basically said, I'm no longer a Slashy.
No,
I'm like, this is my be all end all, like HoliChic is it, which is that's like the goal. What everybody wants to do is you just want to pick one lane and just own it. Yeah,
but what I'll say is what I tell a lot of people who ask me like about this journey is that I just want people to understand the timeline, right? Like everybody wants things. They see you, they see other people, and they're like, wow, like they were able to do this, and so I can do it too. And the second they face adversity, challenges, COVID, tariffs, whatever the problem, you'll always have some kind of a problem.
Right.
You can either pivot, figure it out, or you take a step back and you're like, this is not for me. And I think that patience and the resiliency and like these things are what we learned in corporate, right? Like things always go wrong. And I think that's super important. Like things don't happen overnight. Success is not always overnight, right? And you need to put in the work and be patient.
Yes, it's such a long game. If you are not cut out for it, then
it's not easy.
No, it's not. Tell us about your dream team, because it takes like a whole group of people to make an enterprise like this work.
Absolutely, yeah. So I'm going to take you back to the very, very beginning. All of these clothes are made in India, right? And I can speak Hindi, I can get around, but the very, very beginning, it's my husband who helped me get this business off the ground. And people don't always know that. We went to India, we met with factories, we met with people, and he was my communicator. And he was explaining like, this is how things work, this is cost, this is where, because there's no way I could have done that by myself.
Yes, right? Like, and you got to haggle. So
you have to haggle for everything. You have to haggle for everything.
You
have to
be savvy.
Know people. You have to be able to. One person leads you to the next. It's a science, and I could not do it by myself. So, he's not like a true like team person within HoliChic, but he really is. He's like the anchor and the core. From that point, a lot of times people told me like, you shouldn't work with your friends. And I remember this in the very, very beginning. I had one of my first photo shoots, which happened in my apartment in New York City, 800 square foot apartment.
Yeah.
I turned my son's nursery into my studio.
Oh my God, wow.
And I had just a couple of my girlfriends like be my models. And one of them was my childhood friend. We used to dance together.
Yeah.
And she was working at Google at the time in marketing. And so I was telling her like this big plan I had with HoliChic. I'm like, today you're modeling, like, but this is my vision for the brand in the next 3 to 5 years. And she immediately was like, well, I can help you. And I was like, oh, well, okay. I did not expect that, but she brought in a different perspective coming from Google, coming from marketing. And I didn't know anything about that. I just knew that I loved making clothes, and that was really all I knew how to do. So she came on board in the very beginning. So she is still our co-founder to this day, 10 years later.
Yes.
Worked at Google, did the hustle, all of that, then eventually left and stayed with HoliChic. And now she's with us full time.
That's amazing. So shout out to Pooja for that.
Yes, of course. Like it takes an army.
Yeah.
And then once she was on board, I'm like, all right, we have the creative side, we have the marketing side. What we're missing is the business and the finance side.
Right.
Even though I came from finance, it was a different type of person we were looking for, where somebody could talk to us about profit margin and what's the future of HoliChic, like here's what you're doing today and how are you going to get to that goal. We brought in our third partner, his name is Sachin, and he currently leads our business development and finance. And he helped us look at the business through a completely different lens. And he was like, you guys are not making any money doing what you're doing. So you know, you're just making by. Like
yes.
you're just doing it as a passion project. And to turn this into a business, these are all the things you need to do.
Yeah.
And so for the next 4 or 5 years, that's what we've been doing. Till this day, we are continuously working to scale the brand. And I think now we finally have like these 3 core pillars of the brand that we need to grow it.
That's awesome. And shout out to Sachin.
Yes, shout out to Sachin.
He's a childhood friend of mine as well.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's just we really know everybody. We're all related. Well? Yeah, yeah. So Pooja I know from Boston days.
Okay.
And then Sachin and I grew up together. My Masi and his mom are really good friends.
Oh,
they
wow.
went to school, like St. Anne's Catholic School in Bombay together.
Oh my gosh, wow.
And we have the same birthday, July 4th.
Amazing.
So we're
what a small
Independence
world.
Day babies.
I told you, it's just a couple degrees of separation. We all know each other in some way.
I love it. I love it.
At That Total Mom Sense, we celebrate family, culture, and the everyday moments that matter most. And that's why I trust Lexus. Their cars are designed to make every journey unforgettable. This AAPI Heritage Month and beyond, Lexus honors the strength and stories of our community, because when luxury meets legacy, the standard is amazing. Head to Lexus.com and follow Lexus USA on social media to find your next adventure.
Representation matters, and you really are a beacon in the South Asian space. How have you seen Indo-Western, like first the impetus of it, and then how it's evolved?
Yeah, I mean, I think you touched on this before, right? This to me was a void that I personally noticed as somebody who grew up in America with South Asian roots. And that is something that no one can replicate that, right? It's just like an identity and it's a feeling. And 10 years ago, really, there was nobody in the space creating this Indo-Western aesthetic that spoke to both East and West. And I think what we're beginning to see today, I mean, even when I went to India just a couple years ago, you don't really find traditional Indian wear anymore.
Yeah.
It's difficult. Unless you're getting married and you want like the big bridal lehengas, most people are looking to wear either Western clothes, even in India, or they're looking for this blend.
Yes.
So you're beginning to see designers, even in India, make this shift now, which we saw 10 years ago.
Yes.
Right? So you're going to begin to see even more of it, where everyone's trying to curate for a global consumer, because everyone's traveling. Everybody's got this story. Everybody wants a part of their identity, but it also has to match their lifestyle.
Right.
And I think that's where we're beginning to see a shift when it comes to this aesthetic.
That's beautiful. And I think it's like we need things that are practical, wearable, comfortable.
Exactly.
Because, you know, a beautiful gem-studded lehenga is amazing, but you wear it once.
Exactly.
You can't repeat it. And then that's that. Then it's just a showpiece in your closet, and it's just such a waste.
And even like my design process, like I think about, you know, you were asking before, how has motherhood shaped your design? And I think that every phase of my life has played a role in my designs, right? Like I became a mom, and like what became important to me was comfort.
Yeah.
I still wanted to wear a sari, but I wanted it to be easy and comfortable, right? And that triggered, okay, let's do this pre-pleated concept, but let's add a little twist to it. Let's make the fabric stretchy. Let's make it super comfortable. Let's make it lightweight, where you're out at a wedding and you're dancing and you're not sweating and feeling so heavy and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so I think about, I put myself in the situation of a customer. I think about the people in my life, like, where do you go all the time? What type of work do you do? Where are you going after this? Are you going to see your girls? Are you going to dinner? And are these clothes something that can fit into your life, not you fitting into the clothes?
Yes. Oh, that resonates so deeply. Now tell us about the milestones and the wins, because you have had a 10-year track and you're in it for the marathon long haul.
Yes. Yeah. Well, this is just the beginning, and every time you win something or you do something big, I'm like, all right, what's next? What's next? Like, let's just keep going.
No, but let's celebrate. Let's take a moment to celebrate. Even the first few wins. So take us through.
I mean, I think that because, like I said, because we've been in this space for 10 years, I think that we've had the opportunity to gain the attention of people, right? And companies and corporations. And so we've done a couple cool things. We had the opportunity to partner with Lexus, a couple years ago, and we did this amazing Rangoli display for them to celebrate Diwali. Something similar with McDonald's, where we were able to bring Diwali and our culture into this McDonald's franchise and decorate their drive-thrus, which was like one of the coolest experiences I ever had.
Yes.
We've done New York Fashion Week, and most recently we secured a partnership with Nordstrom.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Congrats. High five.
Thank you.
That's huge.
Thank you.
That's so huge.
I mean, it's incredible. And I mean, from the very, very beginning, this was the vision for me. I wanted us to be a brand that, yes, it's very South Asian, it's for you, it's for me, but it's also an avenue for us to show the rest of the world what is South Asian fashion.
Yep.
And what better place than Nordstrom to do that? It just opens up the brand to a whole new audience.
Yes.
And I'm showing them, like, no, Indian fashion is not a lehenga, it's not a sari. You can take the textiles, you can be creative with the way that you use them and you showcase them. And we're beginning to see that there's a response to it.
Right.
And that's incredible, because I want these beautiful textiles and our craftsmanship to get noticed on a global scale.
Yes, and it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I think back to our teenage years when we'd go shopping to Nordstrom, Brass Plum, and like the teenagers, the South Asian, I'm like getting chills. The South Asian girls now have it made that they're going to find.
They don't realize it. Like, Sai, I'm like, my daughter has no idea. I'm like, do you understand how hard we're all working to make you feel seen?
Yeah.
But to them, it's like the norm now.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, I love that we paved the way for them that way. They're so lucky. Yeah. So lucky. Okay, let's get into a family life. So, did you always know you wanted to be a mom?
Yes, I think that, it's you either one or two ways. Right? You either do or you don't. And for me, it was always a yes. And it's been, I don't know, the most incredible, most fulfilling. They're my strength, they're my inspiration, they're my anchors. And I feel like whether things are really great or really not great, they're my constant. And I think like that to me has been the most valuable, because it all comes back to them and it just keeps me grounded and leveled.
I'm so with you. I think that it's our kids that remind us to appreciate the small things. Like, look at this flower, and I have a funny joke, and you forget about all the stuff that we take so seriously, because life will just escape you if you just focus on all the hard stuff.
And it slows you down too. I think that as entrepreneurs, and we're always these like go-getters, and like we don't want to take like I could work literally 24 hours a day if I could, but they're the ones that slow us down, and we need that. Yes. We need that break mentally and physically, and you don't realize it's happening while it is, but it's very important.
Yeah. Tell us a bit about your son and daughter and what they continue to teach you.
Yeah, I mean, so Saya is, she's not into fashion, okay, which hurts my core and my soul. I think because I tried so hard to make her appreciate it, she's just like, no, Mom, not now, but hopefully that shifts one day, right?
Yes, you still get to dress her.
I do, once in a while. We have to negotiate, when that can happen. But she is definitely on the creative side. She enjoys art, and I think she's just picking a lot of that up from like what she just sees around her. And then Aryan is all sports. He's your boy's boy. He is a soccer lover. Every weekend, if I'm not working, I'm with him. I'm at his games.
Oh my gosh.
And it's travels. Like sometimes we're traveling internationally for him, across the country, and he is just so into it and he's so passionate.
That's so cool.
And whatever it is, I love to see that, right? Because when you're committed to something, to me, it's sports, but that translates into life eventually, right?
Yes.
Whether you have a job or whether there's something else that you find interest in. So we support it 100%.
Yes, it's all about that spark. And I have to just share how Megha had helped Aryan with a project that he had to do on Cristiano Ronaldo.
My God. Yes.
Oh
Did you see
my
that on
God, it
Instagram?
was like epic. I mean, the project of all projects on a sports athlete,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
It's
we
just,
got
it was like, he needs to, it's like, you just need to give it to him.
Yeah, we added a lot of jazz to this. We had like
Yeah.
glitter and a lot of fun things to it. So
Yes.
we had a lot of fun.
So what are some of the values that you want to pass on to your kids, and maybe some that you really took away from your parents?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I want them to be raised as kind humans. I think that like we take that for granted, and it's something that is just very important to me because I'm scared a little
Yeah,
bit, and I
I know.
want to raise good human beings first and foremost.
Yeah.
And the second thing is confidence. And I think that my mom, I mean, she was my biggest cheerleader, and my father, you know, even today, like they just, any little thing. And like I think about like art projects I used to do, or like horrible dances I would do at a talent show, and they made me feel like I was literally like America's Next Top, like whatever.
Yeah.
They just never let me feel like I wasn't good enough.
Wow.
And I think that confidence plays the biggest role in your success, because you literally are able to, no matter what you end up doing, if you believe in yourself, you at least are able to give it your 100%.
Yes.
And then if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You're able to pivot on to the next. But, you know, it's a core value of mine. It's something that was passed down to me that has helped me. And so I make it a point to make sure that I do the same with them.
Yes. And I mean, I know this is a little hard to talk about, but when you had lost your mom, it must have been the most difficult time in your life. And I think that as we are raising our kids in the sandwich generation, it's really hard because we have ailing parents and really young kids. And so what advice do you have for those out there that may have lost a loved one or are caregiving for one and are just like heartbroken on the inside?
Yeah, I think we all think we're invincible until it happens to us. And that's exactly what it was for me. I was like floating on cloud 9. I was like, oh, like everything's happy-go-lucky. And honestly, like knock on wood, I hadn't felt any form of tragedy in my life until that point. And so I think that's like one of the toughest things. It's just like living it and not understanding like when other people are going through it, like what they actually went through. But yeah, it was the biggest shock of my life. It was the hardest thing I ever had to go through. I grieve every day. Like there's not a day that you don't grieve. Like it's just different flows.
Yeah.
But the thing about my mom is that she was the strongest woman that I have ever met. I mean, I've met women, you know, throughout my career, CEOs, entrepreneurs, but the strength that she would display to me as an immigrant mother who came to this country, barely could speak the language, worked her way up the corporate ladder, saved money, bought a house, like all these things that she was able to do inspired me. And, you know, after I was, you know, a couple months in, I was like, you know, whatever I can do to turn this passion into, to turn this pain into my passion and help it drive me is what I want to do. And so she is really the inspiration behind so much of my work, and like every little thing I do, I'm like, I'm doing it to make her proud. And I really hope that somehow she's seeing this from above.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel for you. Does she come back and are there signs that you feel like, oh my God,
Yeah,
that's totally Mom,
do.
I see it?
No, it's true though. Yes, there have been things. There have been like signs and moments. And again, I never believed anybody when they would tell me these things. I was like, I don't believe any of it. But it happens. And you have to be intuitive and look for it in unique ways. And there are signs and there are messages that she's watching.
Yes, absolutely. And this is the legacy that you're literally weaving for your kids.
Exactly.
They have that same value system that you grew up with, which is amazing. So now I want to go into a fun rapid fire segment.
Oh boy, okay.
That's brought to us by Lexus, and it's called Standard of Amazing, which is exactly how you live your life. Okay, so what is your favorite road trip destination?
Road trip destination. I guess Rhode Island. That's like all that can come to mind. Newport.
Yes. Oh, it's so pretty.
It's great.
Oh my
It's like a
gosh.
great getaway, and you feel like you're just like in a different world.
Yeah, you're in a postcard.
Yes.
It's awesome. Okay, your go-to snack in the car with your kids?
Starbucks. It's our first stop anytime we leave the house.
Yes. A kid song that, Aryan and Saya just want to listen to on repeat.
They're not really into kids songs. I think
Okay.
that's my fault because
Okay.
I'm
Then if
always
they have
playing,
mature
like-
taste, we're good with that too.
yeah, you know what song they've been playing? That Die with a Smile, Lady Gaga. They're
Okay.
like upset. I don't know why. It's like such a like depressing like love song, but I'm like, all right, they have me play it on repeat.
That's awesome.
Yes.
I love it. Now you don't have to listen to the
Yeah.
nursery stuff anymore. Is there a parenting rule that you swear by when you're in the car?
Gosh, it's the devices, like
Yes.
the technology. It's like a constant fight, and I'm sure so many of you guys can relate. But I don't stop them from it, but I am really, really trying to limit the
Yeah.
time. I put the timer, and I've done then they ask for extra time, and all. It's a constant battle, but that is something that it's very important to me to
Yes.
not put them on there too much. Not to have them use technology that much.
Yes, I'm with you. I'm so mindful about that,
Yeah.
especially on road trips. We're like, this is the time block for that,
Oh my
for
gosh.
the movie and for the tablet time. But then now you're playing Find This License Plate and all the other games we played,
Yes.
looking out the window, all that first, and then you get to it.
Exactly. I like that.
Yes. Okay. What's some of the most meaningful conversations you've had in the car as a family?
Oh my goodness, so many. I think, the grieving process with my mom, I've had a lot of conversations with my husband in there, and even my children. They'll ask me questions and we'll replay moments because we're in the car a lot and we're always driving to some of Aryan's soccer games. And so a lot of those conversations happen in the car, and a lot of business conversations actually. I get a lot of advice from my husband. I'll share things that are happening and I'll pick his brain while we have these road trips.
Yes. Any fun hacks or things that you like in the car that, you're like, oh, this cup holder or anyway.
No hacks, but what I will say is that my car often is some of my most productive time because I'm sure you can relate, but as a mom, you spend half your life in the car, and a lot of times I'm in between dropping them to practice or dance or school, and I will be sitting in my car. And so I've learned to maximize that time. It's my second office, and I get my emails done, I get my phone calls done. I'll be on Zoom in there, and I'll just be parked and I'm on there. So it's productive time now.
Yes. It's our little bubble,
It is.
safe
Yeah,
haven.
nobody can bother you.
No, it's true. It's soundproof.
Yes.
I mean, we can shoot content in there, whatever you want.
Definitely, yes. I have my clothes in the back. I have shoes. Everything's in the back. So
I love it. Do you have any fond memory of Lexus?
So Lexus, plays a personal role in my life. It was my mom's car.
Yeah.
And we have it till this day. And I think that she was, my mom is a very picky person. She will test 100 cars before she picks the one that she wants. And she loved the Lexus because it was luxurious. It was something that she felt comfortable in. She loved everything about it. And to this day, we still have the car. My dad rotates now between his car and her car. So it's a big part of our life. As a family, it's a big part of our life.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I can relate because my mommy too, Lexus
Yeah.
was her car.
There you go.
And it's just parked there. And whenever my sister visits my parents,
Yeah.
because she's not able-bodied anymore to drive it, but it's still a mainstay
Yeah.
in the family.
Yep.
We're not giving it up. What is your standard of amazing? And by that I mean, you hold yourself to a certain standard of life, and that's so important. And I think whether you're a corporation or an automobile company or a person, it's this is the bar. So what is that for you?
My standard of amazing is creating impact. And for me, that's, through my work as a mom, as a wife, in so many different ways. But through HoliChic, it's important to me that people recognize that we're not just a clothing brand, right? HoliChic it's a feeling, it's a way for women to feel connected to their culture and their roots in different settings in their life, right? We all go through different roles. We become mothers, we become, we have jobs, we're entrepreneurs, we're doing all these incredible things. And I want my clothes to be a symbol of confidence and pride for women when they wear it. So impact is the standard and foundation for me when it comes to my work.
That's incredible. Oh, I love it. We are so grateful to have you as an AAPI leader, and you are really influencing all the young women and the generations to come by what you're doing. You're really leading by example.
I appreciate that, and so are you.
Thank you.
So I love it.
Thank
We're just
you.
paving the way forward.
Yes. High five.
Awesome.
We did it. Yay. Thank you for tuning in to AAPI Voices, brought to you by Lexus, only on That's Total Mom Sense podcast. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review the show wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. And follow us at Kanika Chadda Gupta and Lexus USA on social media. Remember to trust your mom sense and dad sense, stay proud of your roots, and keep driving forward. Thanks for listening to this episode of That's Total Mom Sense. You can listen to the audio version wherever you get your podcasts. Just search for That's Total Mom Sense. You can learn more about my guests by logging on to www.thatstotalmomsense.com. Be sure to follow me on Instagram, where I'm most active on social media. My handle is @Kanika Chadda Gupta. And if you have ideas for show topics or guests you can't wait to have on the show, write to me at thatstotalmomsense@gmail.com. And lastly, please rate, review, and subscribe to That's Total Mom Sense if you haven't